Hi, and welcome to this session, Tolerance in the Field of Work. Yes, labor, work. Good to have you here. And yeah, we're just gonna, for me, it's just continuing for where we just started. And well, I already noticed that tolerance can mean so many things and yeah, enhances so many things. So therefore, I guess the word tolerance is kind of difficult for the speakers here, for the panel, because it can mean so many different things, and it's just good to acknowledge that, I guess. And well, in this session, of course, we're going to talk about this tolerant city with what may citizens expect from employers to promote tolerance and inclusion, and what are the basic obligations of colleagues as well. And what can employers and colleagues ask for in return? Well, you know, is it how can I say? I guess we all have to do it together. But to know more about the idea of the deputy mayor of Amsterdam, I would love to give the floor to Rutger Groot-Wassink for the first presentation of this session. Hi, Rutger.
Thank you very much.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I do not have a presentation, but I want to tell you something about how I think, as Alderman for Social Affairs, this topic of today is in my work representative. I have to say that unfortunately I have to leave a bit earlier than the end of the session because I have to make an urgent call. But I'm looking forward to a great discussion. And if I look at the main question, what may citizens expect from employers to promote tolerance and inclusion? I have to say that the question as posed is in a way a bit too narrow, because from my point of view, tolerance of the work floor is not only the responsibility of employers, but it's definitely the responsibility of employees as well. And second of all, I think that a government has whether it's on the national or the local level, has a strong responsibility of setting a social norm, and social norms that are in legislation, but also on other fields. And I think that it's not only about promoting tolerance. Tolerance is a very complicated issue. Because it's not only about promoting tolerance, but it's also about preventing intolerance. And I think that these are notions that we need to take into discussion. When I look at the role of the city of Amsterdam, there are several roles. We have several roles in promoting tolerance and in preventing intolerance. For example, we have a huge program to combat labor market discrimination. This is more of a preventing measurement. But in general, I think that there are several roles for the local government. We are, of course, a huge employer by ourselves. We are owner and shareholder of several businesses. We are buyer and grant provider, and we are norm keeper. And I would like to give some examples of things that we do on promoting and preventing tolerance and intolerance when it comes to the roles of the local government. We are a partner of local businesses, of local entrepreneurs, and we are an employer ourselves. This means that we, for example, when it comes to combating discrimination, but also to promote tolerance, we are in constant discussion with all kinds of employers to help them, to provide them the tools, for example, to have a more inclusive way of finding employees, giving them tools to combat labor market discrimination, and also for ourselves to stimulate networks of people who might be discriminated or who might not feel that they're always meeting tolerance. For example, if you look at a pink network among social servants and all kinds of groups as owner and shareholder, it's quite easy because we can just impose all kinds of policy tools, and we can just when we as a buyer, there are several things that we can do to make sure that in these contracts several measurements are taken care of. But I think that norm keeping is maybe the most important role for us as local government. And this means that we strongly feel that we should also make the promise of tolerance, to make it very visible. Make it very visible in our own organization, but also to make it very visible in our streets. Second, when it comes to keeping the social norm, is education. I think that tolerance is also a subject of how you're brought up, how you're educated. What is citizenship, and how do you compare yourself, and how do you act in relation to other people? So I think that these are the most fundamental things, and we have projects on every aspect of our local government, and we try to take every measurement and every tool to support and to support tolerance and to prevent intolerance. But we're also very dependent on national legislation. If you look at legislation on discrimination, it's quite hard to prove discrimination, and it's quite complicated to impose measurements on employers. And I think that this is something that when it comes to the labor market, when it comes to the work field, this is something that employers and employees should talk about. What kind of culture would they like in their businesses? What kind of culture would you like in your city? So this is also, for me, an ongoing debate. And I think that we should talk about tolerance way more often, not only in conferences like this, but also on the work floor. So far, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rutger. If we are talking, because before we were talking on this social contract, and of course, or not of course, but if it's not really literally a written contract with facts and points in it, but you're talking about it's very important to talk with each other about being tolerant and all those kind of things. What would be an important point in this contract, in this social contract, for you?
Well, I think that a social contract is can work, but a social contract for us, for example, means that we would like to have a social contract with Amsterdam employers to make sure that they have all the arrangements that when people meet intolerance, that there's a place where they can go, that there's a follow-up on that.
I'm sorry. How do you think that situation is at the moment? Do you think the situation is quite good? Do you think that people who are working for Amsterdam, they feel quite, how can I say, they're able to go somewhere and talk about those things? What's the atmosphere at the moment? How would you describe that?
Yeah, I would describe that as rather good. I think that it's okay, but I think that there's always a lot of room for improvement. If you want to change something, you need a carrot and a stick, or honey and vinegar. And I think that that is the discussion. Sometimes it's more honey and less vinegar. It's sometimes more easy to try to stimulate and to try to help, but you need this more repressive thing as well, because when you look at the workplace, it's not every person has or meets the same attitude, or has the same attitude to be open about intolerance, or be open about what kind of tolerance they would like to meet. So this is something that is high maintenance and needs constant work. So I wouldn't go so far to say all good, no work should be done, because I think that's not the way society works. That's not the way a municipality works. That's not the way businesses work. It's a constant discussion and a constant working on improvements.
Yeah, but I agree with you to say that it's also good to acknowledge what you have and on from there. And we just heard already from Kees Maris that it's so, like you're stating as well, it's a continuous thing. It's an ongoing thing. So we should always be aware of it. Thank you for so far, Rutger. And I think I'll see you at the end of the program. Is that correct?
Well, I'll stay in this session for quite a long time.
All right.
And, then we'll meet again at the end of the session.
Oh, that's good to hear. Thank you. And so I'm very curious about your thoughts at the end of this afternoon. So I would like to go to our next guest, and that is Rick Delbridge. And welcome, Rick. You're there?
Yes, I'm here. Yes.
Yeah, good. Good to see you. You're Professor of Organizational Analysis at Cardiff Business School and co-convener of the Center for Innovation Policy. And you're currently the university lead for the design and delivery of the Cardiff Capital Region Challenge Fund in partnership with iLab and the Cardiff Capital Region. So tell me in short, what's that on a daily basis? What does that mean on a daily basis?
So the Challenge Fund is an investment made by the 10 local authorities of the Cardiff Capital Region to support challenge-oriented innovation and encourage local wealth building. So we run a series of calls for challenges brought to us by the public sector or third sector, where there isn't a solution that's already available and off the shelf, and then we support innovators to try and develop new solutions, and through that create new business opportunities for the firms, but also trying to address the societal challenges that the public sector faces.
All right.
It's quite a novel and interesting initiative, actually. I'm quite enjoying it. It's relatively new work for me. Much of my research, I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. Much of my research is around organisations and work, what explains how organisations structure and manage themselves, what explains what practices they adopt. So I'm going to draw on some of that work to explore some of the issues that are being raised in this really interesting and important event today.
Exactly. Well, the floor is yours, so I'm very curious to hear about what you have to tell us.
All right, thank you. And thanks for the invitation. What I'm going to say, I think, does complement and resonate with quite a bit of what Rutger was just saying about the role that the city itself can play in promoting tolerance and good practice, let's call it, at work. Is somebody working the slides? Do I need to sort of give people a nudge? If we can move to the now, there we are, lovely. So the organisers gave me the specific question of how should we attempt to promote tolerance and diversity in the organisational structure of organisations. And there's a big literature, there's a lot of research on what explains organisational forms. Now we might start with an assumption that businesses and managers are highly rational decision makers, reviewing a whole host of possibilities, identifying the optimal and most efficient one. And I'm sure Anna runs her business in this way, but the evidence suggests to us that many organisations don't work like this at all. There's often a lot of subjectivity and personal influence over decisions that are taken. And there's actually a model, one of my favourites, called the garbage can model, which suggests that actually problems and solutions randomly collide and decisions are taken almost on the basis of chance. So let's put it this way, there are a variety of different ways in which organisations choose to act. One of the most compelling and interesting, I think, of the explanations is that organisations seek to conform, seek to act in ways that are deemed to be legitimate by important external actors. And that exercises three influences on what organisations do: coercive pressures, normative pressures, and mimetic pressures. And if we want to try and influence what organisations do, we can use these insights to think about what we need to do to put organisations under those sorts of pressure to conform, in this instance, conform to promoting tolerance at the workplace. So coercive pressures primarily stem from regulatory and legal pressures to conform. They might also come from powerful actors. So, you know, a large and important customer may well be able to exercise influence over the management practices of its suppliers, for example. Normative pressures are derived from education and professionalisation, and that often carries with it a whole set of assumptions about what's appropriate in terms of actions and structures. And mimetic pressures refers to the tendency of organisations to copy each other, and in particular, to copy organisations that are seen as being successful. And I want to draw on those insights as we think about the ways in which we might try and influence what happens in the workplace. Next slide, please. So I'm going to pick out three things, and I work in a business school, so I always like alliteration. So I've got three R's: regulation, role models, and re-education. Regulation provides us with that underpinning, I think, the underpinning, the baseline of what might be achieved. We've already heard a couple of times, I think, during the sessions earlier, you know, I think you yourself asked the question around whether tolerance could be enforced. And I think Rutger was just pointing to the fact that, you know, regulation, maybe regulation's most important role is in preventing intolerance. But that doesn't take us all of the way in which we'd like to travel, I think, in terms of tolerance. So regulation might provide us with a baseline. Voluntary self-regulation, promoted particularly by civil society organisations, can take us further, and I'll say a little bit more about that in a moment. But it's often experienced as coercive, and therefore often resisted or produces unintended and less positive consequences. So I want to concentrate a little bit more on two more positive ways in which we can try and exercise influence. Identifying and promoting role models who exhibit the sorts of behaviour and the sorts of practices that we want to see more organisations adopt. So we encourage imitation of those organisations and those individuals. And education, tapping into an array of different positive ways in which organisations have responded to the opportunities and challenges that they face, putting that into educational programmes, maybe at school, maybe within university programmes, running professional development courses, and spreading and sharing ideas around what is appropriate, what is legitimate as organisations seek to conform. Now, engaging in those two processes can be experienced as a more positive choice by actors, which tends to mean they're more committed to the outcomes that those processes might encourage. Next slide, please. Now, what I'm going to do very quickly is just draw on an example from the UK, where a concerted campaign coordinated by a not-for-profit charitable foundation, a civic society organisation, if you will, has encouraged businesses to pay significantly higher wages than the national minimum wage that's captured in legislation. And if you compare at the top end of the difference, that can be up to a 32% greater level of pay. So this can be a significant additional cost for businesses. But what's interesting, and I'm drawing here on some work that my colleague Ed Heary and others have been very closely involved in, what's interesting is that many organisations have signed up, including about half of the UK's largest businesses, and they tend to do so often for voluntarily, because they have explicit statements that capture their values, their mission, that they're required to evidence that they're making progress on when it comes to some of these policies. So they're often voluntarily signing up. They do so, they report to us, they do so because it enhances their reputation, it improves the motivation of their staff, it offers them a differentiator with other organisations in their marketplace, and it improves the employment relations and benefits the relations that they have with employees. But there have been examples of what we might call naming and shaming, or campaigns that have perhaps been needed to encourage employers that were less willing to volunteer to pay the higher level, and that's had some success. Now, a lot of the campaigners relied on the business case argument, but in fact, again, from research by Ed and colleagues, It's the responsibility, the social responsibility and social justice arguments that often resonate more with employers. So that's an example of a campaign. If we could move to the next slide, please. One of the reasons why I think this is a really interesting and important event is the role of cities. We heard somebody earlier say, if you fix cities, you fix the world. Now, I wouldn't go quite that far, but cities and city regions are key actors in society. A lot of the work that I've been doing around, as you mentioned at the beginning, challenge innovation and the mission approach, which has become very popular at a discursive level in innovation policy, has concluded that we need to make progress at subnational levels. Trying to mobilise at a UK level or the whole of the Netherlands can be very difficult, not least because you're assuming an awful lot of shared values and shared objectives that may not be the case. So I think mobilising at the city region level is important and can be beneficial. And so that's what we found with some of the work that we've been involved in, as I said, with the living wage. So the university, my own university, is just about to open a really exciting new initiative, the world's first social science park, a physical space to house our researchers addressing societal challenges. And that will be Wales's first living wage building. So there is a commitment on the part of ourselves and all of the tenants and external partners that come into the building that they will pay their employees and their on-site contractors at this higher level, the living wage level. And that's been developed in partnership with a Welsh social society organisation that promotes sustainable development. So there's an accreditation process that the building and the university goes through. And that represents an example of this role modelling that I was talking about. And what the foundation has found is that anchor institutions, such as the city itself, as Rutger was suggesting, large employers, visible employers in the city region or in the area, can be very important using their purchasing power, again, as Rutger's hinted, and their influence over supply chains and local populations to promote and encourage adoption of the practices that we're seeking to promote. And what's also important, I think, and it was interesting to hear Keith's presentation earlier about the history of Amsterdam when it comes to tolerance. These place-based initiatives draw a lot on local civic identities, and they draw in people to identify with and sign up to the aspirations that the promoters of this particular initiative are looking to prosecute. So I think that's why I think place-based initiatives that draw on and can extend local identities can be particularly effective. Next slide, please. I've just got a couple more. I think I'm okay for time. So that's the living wage. Now, what Wales has done more recently is extend this work into something called Fair Work. And there was a Fair Work Commission a couple of years ago, which produced a series of recommendations, as you can see listed there. And that work is being developed and led now by the Trade Union Congress in Wales, with a new commission looking at the future of devolution and work, and in particular addressing things like insecure work, non-compliance with labour rights, and the changing nature of work. Now, I think some of these characteristics of the approach are useful to think about in terms of prosecuting this social contract of tolerance at work. So a definition, what are we actually talking about? Fair work is defined as where workers are fairly rewarded, heard and represented, secure and able to progress in a healthy, inclusive environment where rights are respected. So we know what we're talking about when we're talking about fair work. But we also need to know what those characteristics are, so we can take that definition and make it meaningful for people. So it's fair reward, it's employee voice and collective representation, security and flexibility, opportunities for growth and progression, safe, healthy, inclusive working, legal rights respected, and so on. So the promotion of equality and inclusion are absolutely integral to this notion of fair work. And it seems to me these aspects, tolerance, respect, are all closely intertwined when it comes to thinking about what it would mean to encourage tolerance within the workplace and within what we're calling a social contract here. Final slide from me then, please. So, whistle-stop tour through some enormous literatures and lots of research to come to this final slide, and I'm offering at least my interpretation of what some of this might say when it comes to insights for promoting this social contract. So let's work on definitions and characteristics of what we think tolerance at work is and what would represent good practices in achieving tolerance at work. My argument is that we're going to need to build from the underpinning legislation and regulation around things like discrimination, equality and inclusivity, because I'm sceptical that that will take us as far as we want to go. And trying to enforce through legal terms conformity can produce more problems than perhaps it solves problems. And as Keith said earlier, we shouldn't necessarily think of this in formal and legal terms. I think this needs to go beyond these formal legal restrictions to, and following Rutger's comment earlier about preventing intolerance maybe is at the level legislation plays a larger role. I think we need to be encouraging people to, and organisations, to voluntarily adopt and adapt these ideas into what they do. And I think Anna's going to give us a great example of that in just a moment. And then finally, the points that have come from just thinking about what's happening in Wales at the moment, mobilising social partnerships, getting willing employers, the government, employee representatives, civil society organisations as appropriate, to work together to promote the agenda, to identify and promote role models, and ensuring that public sector bodies are very visible and active in displaying the behaviours and the practices that we want to encourage. Looking at what we can expect of potential inward investors into the region. Can we expect them to sign up to a tolerance social contract as part of the deal for coming and working in the region? What can we do with key anchor institutions in the city to encourage and promote this way of thinking about what's important at work? And so building on these insights around local campaigning and then working with schools and the universities in the city to ensure that the role models are being introduced into materials that inform professionalisation processes, working with professional agencies for human resource management, personnel and development and so on, so that people are familiar with what constitutes best practices in this area. And on role models, my last point, great to see, and drawing on Keith's insight from earlier, that Amsterdam itself is a role model in this very, very important agenda. And I do hope that this is the beginning of the opportunity for Cardiff to learn from Amsterdam and share some of the insights from what we've been doing here. So thanks ever so much for the invitation. And I look forward to hearing Anna's presentation and then fielding comments and questions as they may arise. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rick. And as you said, Anna for sure has a very nice next presentation, and we will get together at the end to discuss some more, and also to discuss the questions that that the viewers will have for you. For now, I have a question from Michiel for you, Rick. Could you give an example of how tolerance at work would look like? What would a tolerant workplace look like? So, and I think, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think, as I tried to say, that there are probably many facets to what a tolerant workplace. It's perhaps, in a sense, easy to talk about what a tolerant workplace doesn't look like, or what an intolerant workplace. What are the characteristics? So a lack of respect for every individual in their own right and on their own terms. I personally think pay and conditions are really central to people's experiences at work, and that's why the Fair Work Commission in Wales has looked at things like pay and representation, as well as underpinning issues around equality and diversity. So I think it's a combination of a variety of different practices. Some of them are protections against the misbehaviour of individual other employees, or indeed the firm, and some of them are positive foundations upon which people can build.
Yeah, thank you. And there's another question from Gray Rijnbeek. Could you elaborate the top 3 things you know that employees would want to see changed when it comes to the topic? The employees.
To be honest, I can't draw on research evidence to address that question. The evidence in the work that has been undertaken on related topics around pay and around conditions is that workers, unsurprisingly, welcome improvements in their pay and conditions. They tend to welcome effective employee representation at relatively higher levels of organisation. So team-based and lower levels of employee representation are seen as less effective by employees. So some form of representation is generally well received, although that's not necessarily reflected in formal trade union membership numbers. The UK's trade union membership levels are really quite low. And then the other thing that's often very well received is investment in personal development. And, you know, this is an area, and this speaks to the education point I was making, this is an area where, you know, I think employers can invest in their employees, including in supporting them with what tolerance, what equality, what respect looks like, and how one should behave to ensure that that is what people are experiencing in the workplace, is something that could be well received by employees and benefit employers in delivering on this agenda.
Yeah, well, and that is what our former speaker here at the table, Sarita, does it as well. So it's nice that you're mentioning just that. Yeah. Well, thank you for now, Rick. And I would like to introduce Anna Matthews. Hi, Anna, are you there?
Here.
Yeah. You're diversity and inclusion leader at Booking.com. And we're so happy to have you here as well. But before we continue, I would like to mention one more time that, of course, after this presentation as well, feel free to put any statements, questions in the chat, and I will get them here on my iPad. And of course, we'll try to have a nice conversation all together. But for now, the floor is yours, Anna.
Hi, thank you. And I want to thank everyone for joining, and also for the organization for the invite. And I think today I'll be speaking to you about my experience with fostering inclusion in the workplace as an employee, and mainly as chair of an employee resource group, which is called Be Able at Booking.com. And I think, as Professor Rick and also Alderman Wasim mentioned, these are some examples of promotion and tolerance and inclusion in the working environment. But I also want to point that this is just one example, and that, of course, there are others. So I would like to start with my presentation. If you can go to the next slide, it introduces me and kind of my journey to where I am today. So I have a background in learning and people development, and I've been working for Booking.com for over 9 years now. Currently, I'm a global senior project manager, and I've had different roles, and I've worked with different teams throughout the years. I think one thing that has been constant is that all of this work has always been done together with a very diverse group of people. So I think diversity and inclusion have been a core part of our company values since day one, and that has made a huge difference. So different communities formed almost organically within the group of employees in Amsterdam. That meant that both expats and locals started connecting on similar traits or challenges, looking for safe spaces where they can be themselves and support each other. So we're living in this atmosphere of diversity gives us strength. Eventually, as our company grew, these informal groups evolved into employee resource groups and became global by scope. So what we're saying is, by definition, an ERG are voluntary employee-led groups, and they aim to foster a diverse and inclusive workplace aligned and supported by the organizations that they work for. And that's exactly how it happens at Booking.com. So we are supported by our inclusion, diversity, and belonging team, and we operate with structured steering committees in close collaboration with our inclusion and belonging team, but also our business sponsors. So although this is a volunteer role that I have as chair, I am enabled by our company to take the time needed to drive the ERG's roadmaps. So now if we could go to the next slide, I'm going to introduce to you to the current 5 ERGs leading the way together with our communities and allies in creating this open, welcoming, and empowering workspace. So first, Be Able, and that is the group that I represent, and we're empowering colleagues with diverse physical and neurological needs to be thriving in the work environment. So we're looking for an environment that is comfortable and fair to everyone. So of course, for us, this includes, amongst other things, helping to make this world designed for everyone, but also, for example, to educate for neurodiversity as a competitive advantage, for example. Next, we have our Be Bold community, and this is a growing collective of Black employees and their allies, and they're on a mission to support, retain, and grow Black employees into future leaders at Booking.com. But they, of course, also aim to create a safe space where Black employees can be themselves at work. Next, we have Be Equal, and they're aiming to support, attract, grow, but also, of course, to connect and retain Women Plus at Booking.com. So they're ensuring women have equal access to opportunities while actively removing barriers that stand in the way of success and well-being. Next, we have our largest and most mature global employee community, and that is Be Proud. And Be Proud is committed to creating a workspace in which every LGBTQ plus employee can be their authentic self. So they're cultivating a workplace of openness, inclusion, and acceptance of this community all over the world. And lastly, we have our most recent ERG, who just started last year, which is Be Harmony, and they are focusing on creating unity and celebrating the diversity of Asian cultures. So they're developing and supporting allyship for Asian colleagues so that they can feel proud and safe to share their experiences, but also aspects of their cultures. Altogether, we aim for better representation in the leadership team, as well, of course, as growing and retaining current talent. That's kind of one of our biggest focus. There are many opportunities and challenges that are common to all of these ERGs. So together, we foster an environment of total cooperation. That means we actively join efforts, we join events, we have different initiatives. So basically, we focus also in intersectionality as key for this inclusion. The impact of our work can be measured in different ways. So we can look at representation, we can look at equity, equal access to opportunities, retention, leadership. I think a lot of examples have been given today. But what we see in these communities is that diversity and inclusion, along with ERGs, can sometimes contribute to the overall employee experience in ways that compensation and benefits alone can't. I think this is a great connection to and a link to what Professor Rick Delbridge said before about how exactly you can obtain this sense of belonging in a way that's just enabled through the way that we work. Now I'd like to go into the next slide because I would speak and zoom in to Be Able. So Be Able is a ERG that resulted from the merge of two previous groups, and they were informal groups, one focusing on neurodiversity and another one focusing on physical ability. The aim is to empower colleagues to thrive in an environment that feels comfortable and fair to everyone, regardless of our differences. So it made sense that these new communities could come together because they actually had the same mission. This mission can only be achieved when then the world is designed and accessible for everyone. So that is, of course, one of our biggest goals and main focuses is, of course, accessibility. And this means physical, but also digital accessibility. This is, of course, an ongoing effort. We need to do this in our workplaces, but we also need to do this in the cities that we live in. I think that's why I chose to give the example of how we can help to create this impact beyond the workplace and into our communities through volunteering. So the example that I brought is that last year, to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Booking.com, Be Able connected and partnered with Booking Cares, that's our internal employee volunteer program, to do the Wheel Map Challenge. So the goal was to help map wheelchair accessibility in over 25,000 places, and to do this together with wheelmap.org, which is an online map of wheelchair accessible places. We actually mapped more places that had ever been mapped before. So over 30,000 locations were mapped, and we did all of this during working hours. We plan to continue to cooperate this year with wheelmap.org and make this kind of an ongoing growth. In the meantime, what we do is we create awareness of the everyday barriers our communities face, and we actively educate toward reducing stigmas and bias. We're trying to kind of motivate everyone to rethink concepts of normal, to not see Be Able as necessary to accommodate disability or to accommodate differences, but I think rather to accommodate everyone. Because once you create this safe space where people can connect and share their experiences, then they are empowered to enable change. That's at least what we've been witnessing. We can also say that on a business perspective, we're looking at different things like identifying opportunities where neurodiverse communities can help. For example, these IT labor shortage that are predicted for the near future. We're looking at practical application of different thinking and neurodiversity into innovation efforts. So it's actually not just a group of employees coming together. We're actively working to be a part of the organization and to drive the organization that we work for and to enable this inclusion into every aspect of our work. If we can go to the last slide, I think I want to kind of finish with with my personal story, because when I joined Be Able, a whole new world opened for me on the challenges faced by the community and consequently on my privilege, because I had not noticed most of them until now. So when I heard the communities discuss their challenges and their realities, it made me question my perception of the world around me and how much actually I didn't know so much about it regardless. So I had to start to research, to listen, to ask for questions. And then I was elected chair of Be Able. I am neurotypical, I am fully abled, and I lead an ERG supporting neurodiverse and disabled colleagues. So that means there's a lot I don't know, and I need to continue to ask questions because the world evolves and everything, the language evolves, so our self-education should also evolve. What I think I realized is that in allyship, our most valuable resource is the ability to engage with people and find out what works for them and how we can help to bring this change. It's about connecting, but also taking their experience and the experience of others and not compare it to us, to ours. It's their life. So the experience and challenging the experiences are usually not conducive, because we need to create awareness of our unconscious bias and being open to feedback and to relearn some behaviors. I think a good example of an everyday something that happened to me but actually very meaningful is that I used to say I was a bit dyslexic. And usually I would do this during informal talks with my colleagues when something didn't go well. And then having conversations with the neurodiverse community, I realized that's actually not the case. You are either diagnosed or not with dyslexia. And actually, it's not just how you see words or how you read words. This changes the way that you look and the way that you think of the world. So actually, and even if that was not my intention, I was downplaying a condition that affects up to 20% of the world population. So just because my intentions are good, it doesn't mean my words and actions don't have that impact. I think that's why people say allyship is a verb, because you can't just be an ally. It requires commitment. It's a call to action, kind of like a journey, I would say. So for me, what I've learned and grown as a human through this journey will stay with me regardless of where I work or even where I live. So it kind of becomes a part of who you are. So I'm glad to be on this journey, and I look forward to what can be achieved in the future and what we can learn from each other as we are, I think, learning today. So thank you.
Thank you, Anna. So nice to hear your story as well. And what I heard, what you mentioned several times in your story was the way of belonging and how important it is that the feeling of belonging. And the other thing is the safe space. And I was wondering, do you think that diverse a working group automatically is more tolerant? Because that's how you started your story, right?
I think I started my story by saying that the fact that we are already a very diverse group to start makes us realize that we're not all the same, we don't look the same, we don't think the same. So it kind of creates that awareness first. But in itself, diversity, I usually say that diversity you get by hiring. If you hire a group of different people with different backgrounds, you got that diversity by hiring. But going through that diversity into this concept of inclusion, which feels that you are in a place where you can be yourself. You don't feel you're going to get criticized, that people are going to look at you in a certain way or judge you. I think it comes back to this respect and respectfulness that we've been hearing throughout the day. That is the journey that takes you towards inclusion, and it takes work. I think that's what we're saying is it takes work, it takes commitment. You don't just get to be inclusive because you get diverse. You get to be diverse and then work towards that inclusion. I'm not sure if this makes sense.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And a question comes in, and is how are these inclusive values translated into the actual algorithms and core mission statement of Booking.com?
Well, I think we start with the mission, and our mission is to make it easier for everyone to experience the world. So mission-wise, we're already incorporating the concept of everyone, and that we are making it easier so that everyone can do it. And each one of the ERGs has their own focus on how to enable our mission as ERGs into the overall mission of the company. And of course, it also depends on how mature your ERGs are and how ingrained and embedded they are within the organization. But I can give a couple of examples of, we already have our Be Proud community working together with the company to create products. So our Travel Proud has been a product that has come together with our ERGs. So what we're saying in a nutshell is this is also an effort, but if your company values already value exactly that diversity, then it's easier or it's more logical that you can embed that diversity within the products and within the mission because it's already designed for it.
Yeah. And another question is, what problems do you encounter as the largest employer in Amsterdam when promoting tolerance and diversity? And what kind of intolerant behavior do you see in a large organization?
I think that is always a personal answer because each one of us will see it and feel it with a different perspective. Yeah. And actually, I don't consider myself, or I consider to be privileged. So maybe my answer will not be as relevant as to the experience of others. But I think the issue is exactly because we're talking about so many people coming together, and specifically in Amsterdam, in different offices, now actually no longer in offices, but in a virtual environment. What basically we're saying is keeping everybody together and working towards the same mission is always difficult. So I don't see the added difficulty except for the fact of the complexity of a bigger company. However, at the same time, being that bigger company and being more structured, it actually allows you to be more professional and more meaningful with ERGs. It makes it more consistent with clear roadmaps, with expectations and measurements of what we deliver. So it kind of makes it harder and at the same time facilitates. Because if we were smaller and had less resources, maybe it would be much more difficult to support, to be supported the way that we are.
Yeah, thank you. And that is, of course, if you're a smaller company, things look different. Again, when you look at the working place, and other things are more important. However, you just mentioned that you're working in small groups as well. Did I understand that correctly?
Working in different, so each of the ERGs supports a different community, but we actually work together towards the same goal. If we want an inclusive company, that will only be inclusive where everyone feels included. What we have is, because this inclusion is very hard to then follow up upon, is we have specific groups of people who are represented within the company that are already working within these communities to specific objectives that speak to those communities. And overall together, all of our deliverables and all of the work that we do contribute to the overall goal of having an inclusive, open and welcoming company for everyone to work. And to feel that they belong to.
At the same time, I can imagine that, but I'm very curious to hear from you, Anna. If that is a constant, let's say, topic, to be inclusive, to be open to others. So let's say to be tolerant and open. How do you make sure that it doesn't become kind of, how can I say, that you feel like you have to be so alert on this that maybe sometimes you feel like you can't say, or so that it works actually sometimes in the other way around, if you understand what I'm aiming at?
Totally.
So if you're so conscious about something, sometimes it goes too far?
And I think it's creating that balance. So I would agree with you sometimes, and I think my example speaks a lot about it, because like I said, I'm representing a community as an ally. So I actually say a lot of wrong things. I say things that sometimes I unwillingly will not just be wrong, would probably be offensive. But it is about how we relate to that. We're open for this feedback. We're open to understand that the reason why we ask questions is because we are interested in the answers and we want to learn from them. So creating this environment where first, yes, I might say something wrong, but I feel that I can say something wrong. I'm not going to be judged by saying something. I'm just going to be educated. I'm just going to be brought on to a new world, to a new way of looking at things. So the balance is difficult, and I'm not saying that sometimes people might not no longer say something that they were thinking just because they might try to avoid some of that conflict. But the fact that that conflict is managed in an open way, and it's not about not saying it, it's about being aware that when you say it, other people will give you feedback if you're not well representing or if you're not being inclusive. And it's just part of our feedback culture. So it's about how do you improve? How do you get better? How do you become more inclusive? So it's a process. There's no, I would say, happy solution, but it's also not about just going through the training. It's about embedding it into everyday life, or it just won't work.
Yeah, it's nice. You call it the feedback culture, and I understand from what you're saying. If you know that the feedback, it's all right to get feedback, and you know, then it doesn't feel that heavy. And if everybody feels the same about it, or is you know, if it feels like this safe space, like you described before, then it's like when you're with close friends and you can say everything to each other, and you just know, okay, it's all right, I can say that, and that is. If I understand correctly, what you are at least trying to achieve in your company, to be able to yeah, and that's actually what Sarita before at this table also mentioned. You know, just be able to speak out and speak out what you think and what your feelings are. That also creates more openness and therefore tolerance. So. I see something coming back here. I have another thing. You are talking about promoting a more diverse and inclusive workforce. Does that automatically lead to a tolerant work environment?
I'm not sure what leading actually or a tolerant environment means, because then we go back to the definition of things. I think what it leads is to an environment where, because these groups are visible, we create events, year events. We actually showcase the dates that are relevant for us. We do workshops. We do connection cafes with everyone. We do sessions to talk about, for example, the racial issues that happened in the past. We talk about the issues of the LGBT community on a daily basis. Our Asian colleagues have been faced, because of the coronavirus, with all of these conversations and some racism. So for each of these ERGs and for each of these groups, there's a constant conversation and a constant discussion. We don't show up just for events. It's not performative. It's embedded into every day. So because it happens every day, I do believe it is conducive to an environment where you just know that difference exists, but that difference actually is not detracting us from unity. It's bringing that unity in a much more personal way. Because exactly like you mentioned, I feel that I can speak up. I feel that when people tell me things, they are not criticizing me. They're enabling me to do better and to be better. So culture like this and creating an environment that is inclusive, like I said, is ongoing. It's never really over. It's about working towards that objective every day. And every time you hire somebody, you need to start that process again to make sure that this person is embedded in it. So it's a never ending work, I would say.
Yeah, but of course you have to be, as an organization, you have to be conscious of that as well, that it's an ongoing thing. And if you would put that this example into to the city of Amsterdam, and you're stating, like, you know, we also discussed it's an ongoing thing, and you just said, like, you have to have get-togethers and talks and things like that on a regular basis. How would you see that to the city of Amsterdam?
I think specifically, and the city has cooperated with Booking.com, but also with other ERGs and other events. But specifically for our community, one of the things that we realize is that accessibility is a huge thing for, of course, Be Able. And accessibility in the city of Amsterdam have some work to do. And I believe that that has been some of the issues that we've been facing on the city itself, is that our disabled colleagues struggle to reach the offices, to take public transports, to actually get to the locations that they are. So in a way, the reason why an ally is actually leading this ERG is because sometimes it's not possible to physically get members of the steering committee into rooms or into locations to talk about things. Sometimes this even happens on a technological basis, that you can't grasp what people are saying because you don't have the means to get there. So I think this is an example of how the city can evolve and cooperate with specifically an ERG like Be Able to make this accessibility more visible, or at least more seamless within the city of Amsterdam. That would be, I would say, an example.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to see if it's technical possible to have you all three there on the screen. And I'm not sure. Yes. All right. Good. So I have you all three at the same time. Good. Rutger, would you like to react on the last statement that Anna made?
Yes, I think it's true that there. I think that when it comes to inclusion, there are always improvements for new groups. And if you look at, let's say, inclusion is also emancipation, and the paces of emancipations differ. If you look at different groups that we might want to stimulate to gain an inclusive place, there's a lot of work to be done, and there's not one group that you can focus on. There's not one dimension in tolerance. There are multiple dimensions, and yes, as municipality, we have to work on that as well. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Rick, would you like to add something on that?
I think Anna's case example is really interesting and hopefully inspiring of others who are looking to do more in this space. But I suppose that the one issue that I would note from what Anna's been saying, and encourage her to say a little bit more on this, you know, there are many, I think, management terms that are somewhat misused, but organisational culture is a particular bugbear of mine. There does seem to be a simplistic assumption that culture can be managed and changed, and it really isn't like that, and it's certainly not as simple as that. So I think Anna has given us, you know, insight into the time, the effort, the patience, the resourcefulness that's needed to actually try and promote and encourage things to become more deep-seated, because organisations are cultures, They are combinations of people who draw on a whole host of things for their norms and values. They're embedded in a society. You know, they spend a part of their time in work, or increasingly engaging through screens. And organisations managers don't have magic switches, but they can do, as we've heard, do many things to encourage the sorts of behaviours that they're trying to support. And I think it's important to recognise the challenge and then think about some of the ways in which those challenges can be overcome in the way that Anna's really nicely described. And she's exactly what I was referring to earlier in terms of her organisation as a role model or a champion or a case. And personally, we've not met, but we've had a couple of little chats through the Zoom screen, and Anna herself is a champion and a role model of the sorts of things that I think will bring improvements in areas of tolerance, respect, and support for each other in the workplace.
Yeah, I see here, and that's true, the vast majority of employers in Amsterdam are a lot smaller than Booking.com, of course, and we shortly mentioned that. But what could they learn from you, Anna? So let's say if we go to a much smaller workplace.
When I joined Booking.com almost 9 years ago, it was a very difficult organization. I think in total, we were talking about globally up to 4,000 people. So, of course, it is still a big organization, but in Amsterdam was actually not as big as it is today. And even though this inclusion wasn't exactly sponsored, and I'm using this word specifically, so we weren't talking about money being organized or used to organize our groups, this feeling of the importance, and I think I just mentioned diversity gave us strength, was kind of a motto that we lived by. So what I'm saying is, even though it wasn't formal, what the organization did at the time was to invest and realize that people coming together and feel that they belonged created a work environment that was conducive with success, that was conducive with different ideas, with helpful discussions, with creating new products. So this was and I think that's what Rick was saying, is this was a culture that wasn't born in that moment, and it was nurtured. So when the moment came and our company evolved into a more mature company, and then ERGs came as an answer for that, it wasn't the organization attempting to create inclusion. It was actually the organization taking the environment that they already had of inclusion and of people coming together. And they were coming together organized personally. So these
I'm sorry. I understand what you're saying, and I'm sorry. I know Rutger has to leave in a moment. You have to leave now? I can ask you one more last thing.
Yeah, and I also wanted to respond on this, because as in Amsterdam, we as local government, we created a network, which is a cooperation of smaller businesses and larger businesses, in which we exchange examples and toolkits, especially to also help smaller businesses, because a lot of businesses in Amsterdam only have a few employees, and even in that respect, their diversity and inclusion is a topic and is of importance.
All right, yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you actually exactly. Well, how would you frame that for the city of Amsterdam? So yeah,
we started this network, and it's very successful, and we also work together with organizations of employers and organization of employees, trade unions, to see how we can do that on the work floor as well, and on the let's say the policy of the companies.
So would you state, so there is a lot of attention to this topic? I mean, if you bring people together, people are willing, because that's one of the other things that Rick talked about before. You know, to bring people together with the same mindset, and by that make it stronger. Is that something that you see happening now in Amsterdam?
Yeah, definitely. And I see also, we already talked about role models. And I think that role models are of importance on the work floor for employees, but also that there are organizations like Booking.com, but also, let's say, HEMA, which is a very typical Dutch employer. Larger and smaller employers have the possibility to show what is the benefit you can have of having diverse and inclusive policies. So it's happening right now, but like I stated before, this isn't something that is fixed on this isn't a button you push and then everything is arranged. This is something that you have to work on each day. Everyone has to work on this each day. So it's never enough, but hey, that keeps us in business. So
thank you, Rutger.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. And yes.
I think just picking up on the last comment that Rutger made, you know, it's important to note what I might describe as the convening power of organisations like a city council, a city local authority. They not only role model the sorts of behaviours that they'd like to see, but they can convene and bring together groups of organisations in the way that he's just described, helping to create these networks of sharing of ideas and practices. Similarly, universities can often play an important role as a relatively neutral and safe space to convene meetings of organisations to share ideas and to discuss issues that they're trying to make progress on. And on the question of organisational size, bigger organisations and smaller organisations are different. I wouldn't suggest some are better than others, or bigger is easier or more difficult than smaller. They have different qualities and characteristics often. So smaller organisations can often be much more homogeneous in their employee makeup, which can bring challenges when it comes to promoting diversity and tolerance if the conception of diversity and tolerance isn't the one that the dominant majority of employees already have. So that can be a different sort of challenge to the sorts of opportunities and difficulties that a very diverse workforce can bring. Because I think Anna got a question in the chat. It doesn't necessarily follow that because you have a more diverse workforce, you have a more tolerant workforce. You also create more opportunities for people to fall out potentially. So I don't think it's a simple arrangement, but you can definitely learn from each other about the experiences of trying to make progress on these things.
Yeah, and what would you say are good practices for employers that make diversity work? What would you say? I mean, we heard some already.
Well, I don't know whether it's maybe better for Anna to offer her thoughts from a specific case, because it's really very difficult to generalise about that sort of thing without, you know, offering up motherhood and apple pie type answers. I mean, there are some important things about good management practice that are worth reinforcing. Be transparent, be consistent, communicate clearly, act in obvious ways that are fair, honest and respectful. You know, the organisation's practices are brought to life through what managers themselves actually do. And nobody, I'm sure not even Anna, is entirely familiar with the rule book and the procedures of their organisation. It's what people do that employees take their lead from. So managers need to display these behaviours first and foremost. You know, which is why I think legislation and regulation are important, but they are the beginning of the process through which improvements will be made in these areas, rather than the end of what's necessary. Because people just don't follow the rules, and you can never expect that they will. So what you have to do is have people that exemplify the sorts of behaviours that your rules are trying to underpin.
Exactly.
I don't know whether Anna would agree with that, but that's my observation from studying organisations.
Would you agree on that, Anna?
Yeah, for sure. I think, and again, I can give specific examples to the organization, but it came to my mind when Rick was speaking that, for example, what we do is every year we have the Booking.com Playmaker and Inclusionist Awards. So this is an annual program to celebrate our Booking colleagues who go above and beyond to drive this inclusion and well-being in the workplace. So, for example, Be Able was awarded a Playmaker Award together with all of the other ERGs for role modeling inclusion. But individual people were nominated by their peers, and these awards are an annual, continuous, and I think exactly role modeling and showcasing. This is what inclusion looks like. These are what every colleague is doing on their day-to-day basis to make this a more inclusive company. So we're talking about specific examples. We're talking about day-to-day activities that people change or objectives that you change. For example, for Be Able is accessibility is super important for us. So every single breakthrough that we do in accessibility within the company, even with internal tooling, is a victory for everyone who's disabled and used to have an access problem. So we're talking about consistent examples, showcasing those examples, but then also celebrating those victories. So it's not just about saying.
Yeah, Anna, I'm while you are speaking, I'm thinking and about the city of Amsterdam and celebrations. Do you think that some kind of celebration on tolerance or something like that does work, for example, for a city as well? Could work for a city as well?
I think it could work for sure, because all our celebrations, even internal celebrations at Booking.com, they usually have this more inclusionist side of it. So because it's embedded, it would make sense to celebrate this with Amsterdam. But I think every year, for example, when the Amsterdam city does an event like, for example, Pride Week, and we've had Pride in Amsterdam, and Booking.com has participated in the past. So has actually been enforcing and collaborating with the city on a specific event that is celebrating this diversity of our LGBTQ plus community. So these are several examples of how we can connect with the cities, but also with other organizations I think it's in staying out of just the workplaces and the offices and bring together the cities that we live in and work in.
Yeah. And this city, because you were talking, Rick, about the role models, and this city, Rutger just stated also about the fact that taking this lead also as a role model in the city. What could be other good practices for the city to be this role model?
Yeah, so I mean, exactly as Anna described, symbolic celebration of doing the right thing, acting the right way is often underestimated in terms of how much significance it carries with employees. Being told you did a great job and being recognised for doing that, not necessarily materially to any great extent, but the organisation noticed you went above and beyond, or you did what we were hoping, and we really were pleased about that. It acts in ways that motivates people, but it reinforces the positive behaviours. It signals the role modelling and the championing that we were talking about earlier.
Rick, do you say with that also? Do you state that it's more important to focus on the positive things that are happening instead of condemning the things that are not going that well? I think let's say in a city as Amsterdam,
as a whole range of different things. You know, intolerance needs to be addressed, but that I think needs to be done firmly, effectively, and quietly. I don't think promoting, drawing attention to the punishment of people for not doing what they're expected creates a positive environment. I think you want to create a positive environment by celebrating good things, but address problematic behaviours in a way that is respectful of the person who needs to be educated, needs to have the reasons for why they're being asked to change their behaviour. I think that, so personally, my sense is that it's not a good idea to have a kind of wall of shame with a list of people who've not done what they were meant to this month. But it is a good idea to celebrate people who've gone above and beyond or have exemplified the sorts of behaviours we're trying to encourage. Your question around what can the city do? I've had the opportunity to visit Amsterdam a number of times, lovely place, but I don't know enough about the specifics of your city to comment. But from what Anna was saying just a moment ago, and from what Rutger was saying earlier, it doesn't surprise me to hear that you're doing a lot of those things already. But I think when I talked earlier about place-based initiatives and drawing on the civic identities of those places to promote and encourage behavioural change and attitude change and action, then that's where you want to be promoting, symbolically celebrating tolerance. I think Casey's presentation at the beginning, justifiable claims that Amsterdam has been, in the language of the day, world leading in terms of tolerance over centuries, is the sort of basis upon which you can then engage people in. What that means changes over time, as we heard very clearly from him, and it's always going to be evolving and emerging, because you're never going to go, oh, that's it, job done, we've ticked the tolerance box. I'm afraid it doesn't work like that. But I think celebrating and encouraging people to recognise in themselves the authenticity of the activities that you're trying to encourage. Edge people in a direction that they're already comfortable in, and you'll get the buy-in, you'll get that discretionary commitment that doesn't come if you're trying to force people to do something dramatically different from what they recognise as being appropriate. Yeah.
Well, thank you, and that comes really good together with the things that you said before as well, Anna. I want to thank you both for being present here on this part of today's conference. It was really nice to hear your stories, and once again,
can I just make one more quick point?
Of course, sure. Go ahead.
Because at the city level, I think it's also important just to reaffirm that there are material and economic things the city can do, as well as symbolic and celebratory things. And Rutger hinted at one or two of those, and I mentioned one or two of them. The city can choose to only do business with organisations that display the behaviours and has a commitment to tolerance written into its organisational mission and charts. There are choices about where the public, I was going to say pound, the public euro is spent in Amsterdam, and there can be material benefits for employers that sign up to the Tolerance at Work Charter or whatever it becomes. You can also engage businesses that are considering moving into the city and tell them this is expected. This is part of what it means to be, a good corporate citizen in the city of Amsterdam. So there are a combination of symbolic and more material things that the local authority, the city council, and other key actors can engage in, that will promote the sorts of behaviours that we're talking about and bracketing in terms of tolerance at work.
Yeah. Are you stating that gives a stronger signal of the direction you want to go to as a city?
If the conclusion of this event and other events like it is that there is an issue that would merit concerted action on the part of the city and its citizens, then exactly, that my presentation concentrated on what some of those things might be that you could do to try and encourage organisational change and conformity around your espoused values with regard to tolerance and respect at work.
Yeah.
You have agency. The city has agency, and key highly visible employers like Booking.com are agents. They have their own agency, and they can also be significantly influential over other members of the city region.
Yeah. Do you see something in that, Anna, in that in that plan?
I see for sure a lot of possibility. And what I've seen is that kind of Amsterdam has always been embedded in Booking.com, being it was since always, it has been a place that is known for its tolerance. I think all of these expats that come from all over the world, for example, to work for Booking.com, they already kind of bring in back this idea that they're coming to Amsterdam. So it's also about matching expectations, because you create this expectation of a very tolerant city. But then on the day-to-day, you observe, for example, that you might not be able to get the bus, or that you might not be able to say what you want in certain circumstances. So the more we can collaborate to, I think like Rick is saying, is bringing the two of them together, bringing a good example of what a tolerant city could look like, and a good example of what I would say even inclusive company who lives or who works in that city could look like. The synergies from this can only benefit others, but also the institutions in itself, I would say.
Yeah, so you want to go to like a matching point for the character of the city and the character of the working places that are in this city. And with that, you give a much stronger signal, and that will spread, let's say, the so-called culture, whether it's inside the company or, let's say, in the city around.
I think it's if you can't be inclusive in the city that you work in, even if then in the companies you have a very inclusive culture, and that ends when you leave the door of that company into the city, then what kind of inclusion is that? It's just specific to a physical place. So it needs to come beyond those borders, and it needs to be, I think, it comes back to what Rick said. It's not about saying, it's about doing, it's about practicing. We can talk all we want about inclusion, but it's not something that you obtain by force, or it's not something that you obtain by a stamp. Like if Rick can find whatever is that stamp that gives us all inclusion, all the companies are looking for it because it doesn't exist. It takes all of these synergies, all of these collaborations to evolve. So maybe we're having this conversation now, and in 2 years, inclusion actually looks in much different or in much more depth. So we're also evolving this concept of inclusion. It meant a different thing 10 years ago. I think you also see how maybe 10 years ago we were talking about tolerance, and now we're talking about inclusion. So wording also changes. It's evolutionary, I think.
Yes.
And also, an important thing for the city is that if it makes moves to promote tolerance, it can also be held account. The more, and this is why being explicit about what objectives is important in more than one way. It's the way that managers, for example, communicate what's expected of their employees, but they also make clear what employees can expect of them. Just like with a city and its citizens. So, as Anne has been describing, don't invite me to your celebration of Amsterdam as the world's leading city of tolerance when I have accessibility issues getting to the venue because the public transport's not effective, hypothetically. It's a two-way street when it's going to work well.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is exactly why we have today's conference, and of course why we have these subjects together with this tolerance conference. Yeah, so one more time, thank you so much for being here and for all your input. I'm just checking a last time if there are any questions, but all questions are asked. Thank you, and hope to see you another time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, and thank you for participating also in this section on tolerance in work. If you want to, this session you can just stay here, and automatically you will come into the general session, the last part of today's conference. We'll be back at 4:15 for our final session. And for now, we're having a little break. See you soon.